You're watching WRKM Channel 22, number one in the region. The following WRKM broadcast for mature audiences only. What if I was to tell you that you, currently, right now, are time traveling? You are currently caught up in a time traveling conundrum that you do not know you're in, but you can get out of. You have the power to do so. Is that something you might be interested in? Well, it is Saturday night. It's how the talks we can't have when the sun is up. You should get that checked out. You should really talk to somebody about that. That doesn't look good. Doesn't look good. Good evening. I'm Ralphie Martinez. This will end in darkness. We are back again. Together. Weeks have passed. Two. Just two. Some stuff going on around here's, but we're back. That's all that matters. We're back. Many thought we would not come back. They were like, one and done. He doesn't have it in him anymore. Not true. I will never lose my ability to talk nonsense for about 45 minutes. I spend most of my childhood by myself, talking to myself. So get a load of this. This isn't new. I can do this all the time. I'm a pro. But in the time that has passed, one of the greatest cinematic weekends in history occurred. It will be remembered by many as a pivotal time where great art came out and the public was so angry about it. So not happy with what they got. Some in ways where they were able to make jokes about it. Some were particularly venomous about it, and once again create a fissure in our society. We're back, baby. We no longer care about the things that matter. We're back to arguing about movies. Good job for everyone there. Megalopolis and Joker came out, and I saw both. I saw both of them. I saw Megalopolis because Coppola's my guy, okay? He's one of my guys. And I always knew that if he got a chance to make this movie, he would go all in. He would go all in on it. And he did. Because there was no studio to stop him. He went all in. And that might have been a mistake. If you were looking for a traditional Francis Ford Coppola movie that would stand the test of time and be fantastic. This was not that. I don't want to give away spoilers, but at the same time, I don't know if I could spoil this movie for you. But it's in every way terrible as it is ambitious. The acting choices are very questionable. The CGI is Star Wars prequel-esque, and I like the Star Wars prequels, but we have to admit things. Realities, truths. So you should see Megalopolis, I feel, because it's a beautiful piece of art, I think. I know I enjoyed many aspects of it. Visually, some cringeworthy moments. There was a Me Too storyline somehow thrown in, the whole Catalan mystery of it all. But that's Francis, baby, you know? He's gonna be timely, kinda, while also somehow being behind the times and traditional. It was very confusing. I don't know if that was the script that existed 5 years ago. I don't know if it's a script that existed before the movie came out. So who knows? But it's beautiful. It's beautiful art. Sometimes art doesn't have to make sense. Sometimes it doesn't make you feel things. And I felt many things. Confusion, mostly. And cringe, douche chills. But happy it came out. People are divided on it. They're shitting on it, to be fair. I'm trying to defend my guy, but I can't really defend my guy. The plot of that movie is very simple. We have to start thinking about the future. The city of Megalopolis has to be destroyed so a new city can be built over it. Because this amazing architect who seems to have so much fame in this universe of Megalopolis, which shows you how old it is. Like, this would be like a Robert Moses-like character. So it tells you, like, Francis is old. He thinks architects still matter, as if we talk about them in any real meaningful way. But really, the architects really stand in for him. And he invents this new material called Megalon. And it's supposed to make buildings better or a more sustainable city. They don't really explain what it does. They don't really explain Adam Driver's ability to stop time either. But who needs explanations when you have feelings and thoughts? Rome is crumbling. We need a new way of living. Hollywood is crumbling. We need a new style of film. Francis is thinking about the big question. Go see it. Maybe I'll do a Megalopolis spoiler special. But it has to be with someone who's seen it. I can't talk about it myself. I can't. That movie needs a second person so people can know what I'm saying is the truth and not me making up a movie. Joker 2 came out. And it wasn't the traditional comic book movie. Neither was Joker 1. But who's to say if that was a Joker movie? Todd Phillips doesn't think it's a Joker movie. He thinks it's an Arthur Fleck movie. And I kind of understand it. He was talking about Joker as a concept, not the Joker. Hence why it's not called The Joker. It's just called Joker. Because it's a concept movie. It's an Elseworlds title. Not meant to be taken as serious as the original canon. So, of course, when he goes for the sequel that he's probably forced to make, he goes, fuck it. Let me do what I did in the first one. Let me find an interesting entry point in. Maybe Joaquin has a dream that's been debunked, apparently. But that's the origin I'd like to go with. Joaquin dreamed it. And it happened. Anyway. I think it was very admirable for him to do a jailhouse musical. Now, was some of the singing good? That's kind of the joke. It's not good musical singing. And it has a story to tell. But is it a story people wanted? No. They liked the ending of the first Joker where he has to put the makeup on and now he causes a riot in the city. What they wanted was more of that. Him on the run, him causing crimes, him saying deeply philosophical concepts through the mind of a deranged man to facilitate how they feel, to affirm how they feel about the society around them. But Joker 2 said no. We must contend with those thoughts from the other point of view of the victims of the crimes he committed. And that upset people. I don't know what upset them more, the role reversal or the music. But I do think it's the role reversal because Jordan Peele faced the same kind of problem with the movie Us. He makes God damn it, the first one, Us, Nope, Get Out. You gotta just say the trilogy and it comes to you. He makes Get Out, It's a very particular movie. It's about the black experience in America and how there's these white hierarchies that are out to get us. Cool. He makes Us, which I guess no one fucking understood the title, because the movie was about us, and people don't really like that one, really. I find people really shit on that one. And it kind of, I think, feeds the negativity Nope gets sometimes. Because it's just like, oh, Get Out, that was the one. That what he was telling us. Why doesn't do more stuff like that? Because heavens forbid, he turns the story on us. Why can't Joker 2 be more like Joker 1? Heavens forbid the story gets told about us. And our desires to watch Joker commit his crimes. And how deranged that is. How dare the artists go, hey, people are weird too. Not just these characters, which are about people. They're stand-ins for actual people in life, people you experience. But how about you at home? Now, I'm not a big subversion guy sometimes. I think subversion gets used far too often, and we got the best results. But I thought Joker 2 is a 7 out of 10 movie. Megalopolis, I think it's 10 out of 10 if you look at it from the point of view I'm looking at it as. Is a great art piece and something fun. But if you're looking for a good cinema experience, can't answer that for you. I haven't really thought about it as a cinema experience yet. I just like how it made me feel sometimes. But 7 out of 10, Joker's fair. I think Us is a 10 out of 10. But 7 out of 10 for Joker's fair. It does say a lot. It does fail a lot at communicating certain ideas. The music can go on a little too long. The movie itself is a little too long. But it's fine. Thought it was fine. And I found a lot of the criticisms of it, of all three of these, Us, Megalopolis, and Joker 2, all about people's expectations of what those movies are supposed to be based on a conundrum that is happening to us as we travel through time as people that me and my friend the Revolution call the entry point paradox. Now, this came to us when we were talking about wrestling fans recently, just fans in general and how they react to things, trying to understand what it is. What's the problem here? And it's a very cliche thought of how you first experience something. That's how it becomes for you the rest of your life. I think I'm going to take my headsies off. Ugh. I feel a little free there. Just a little, maybe I get new headphones. But I do think it's a very cliche thought, but cliches matter for a reason because they're right. They have things to say. Their wisdom that doesn't go away because they're so fundamental to the human experience. So, Megalopolis, people wanted Apocalypse Now. People wanted fucking Godfather. They wanted that Francis. That's the Francis they knew. People wanted Joker 2 to be Joker 1 or to be the Joker in general because they saw the title and didn't think maybe the title is just the title. And the movie is what the movie is. And the concept of the concept is, no. I need my comic book Joker. He's supposed to become the clown prince of crime. Even though Todd Phillips has said several times he was never going to be a criminal mastermind. Heavens forbid he thinks outside the box. Heavens forbid an Elseworld title does something different. Us. Why didn't he do it like Get Out? Why are we the fucking villains in Us? We're not the villains here. Everything's being done to us. No one asks these questions because they're in an entry point paradox. And when you enter a point in time, sometimes you get stuck there. You get stuck in that point in time. I noticed it all my life, man. It was weird. When I was a comic book nerd, I remember that you couldn't change certain things. Dick Grayson was always going to be Robin. Then he always became Nightwing. Now Tim Drake's always Robin, but don't you fucking dare think about growing him up. He stays Robin. That's it. Then I lived long enough to see Damian Wayne become Robin. Things change over a few years, and every time a change happens, people freak the fuck out. That's not the Batman I know. That's not the comic book I've been reading for the last 25 years. I'm guilty of it. My re-entry point in the comics was Civil War, and I stayed all the way until the heroic age started and went, I'm good. I got what I wanted out of it. Not interested in anything that comes after. Maybe it might be good, maybe not. Not interested. I'm leaving. Because I had at least the concept of, I don't want to leave this. This is what appeals to me. I enjoy it. Now, did that stunt my ideas of future comic book storylines? Yes. Did I miss out on a few things? It seems like I have. Because I might actually have to get back in. But at least I was self-aware enough to know I'm stuck in that time. That time works for me. That's what's happened with the Joker 2 people. They met Joker at a certain entry point. Some of them is Heath Ledger. Some of them is Jack Nicholson. Some are Jared Leto. Some or even Cesar Romero. Whatever Joker's your Joker, that was your entry point, and that's the paradox you stay in. And we don't think about these paradoxes as being negative because it's what we like. It's what makes us feel good. But we never actually take a moment to go, well, wait a minute. I've been stuck in this time period for a bit. I haven't gone to the future. I don't know what the future is. I haven't been given it a chance. Let me push the lever forward and see what the future brings. Now, I'm not saying you gotta like the future, but you at least gotta give it a shot. Gotta give it a shot. Pro wrestling fans, same thing, man. They do it all the time. You got your 80s wrestling fans. You got your 90s wrestling fans. From the Attitude Era, you got Ruthless Aggression fans. You got people who came up with with ROH and independent wrestling being video game-like wrestling, where it was less character, more in-ring. People fighting against this current WWE regime, the John Cena years. Like, all these other fans are in temporal fucking paradoxes, bouncing off each other on the internet, not realizing that every time they collide with each other, they actually affect one another. In probably a negative way, mostly because then you get into an argument you don't even want to have with people. I'm a 90s wrestling fan. Storylines mattered, but I was also a wrestling fan for the early ROH years, so work rate matters to me a bit. But I, at some point, came to an agreement that you can have both. For some people, it don't matter. You put on a 5-star match, fuck the promos. Fuck the promos. What's this guy gonna do when he's not wrestling? I'm gonna get bored of that. I'm gonna see all the moves. At least when he's got a microphone in his hand, I won't know what he says. Until he says it, it'll be fun. The unpredictability of story. Where could his career go? Where could his character go? Apparently, for some, it's not what wrestling's about. But yet we follow ESPN. We follow Fox Sports about the lives and the stories of athletes as they figure out what their next move is, what teams they go to, the arc of their careers. No, that doesn't belong in wrestling. Apparently you can't even do that. Yeah, pro wrestling may have more fantastical stories, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's not a projection of a career. You're not you're following a guy straight through. You were there when Austin was a Hollywood blonde. Now you're with him at the end when he breaks his neck, or when those injuries start to continue to deteriorate his body, and eventually he just walks out. Then he comes back to beat up Kevin Owens. At what we don't follow these like they're real career events because they are real career events. But people get stuck in the time period. My pro wrestling was violent. My pro wrestling was bloody. My pro wrestling was all about the in ring, the flips, the guy flipping off the fucking top of the turnbuckle, looking like a video game character. That's what we're doing. Cool, but you do realize there were things before that. Everyone wants to be a wrestling historian until you start talking about things that came before it. Everybody wants to be a comic book historian until you start talking about things they don't know. Half of these fucking Joker fans don't know shit about the original Bob Kane comics. Ain't never read them. All they know is the cartoon and the movies, but that's not their Joker, though. Kurt Angle, one of the greatest pro wrestlers of all time, could talk on a microphone and do great in-ring work. Apparently, that's not talked about anymore. He's almost forgotten about. Because everyone talks about him when it comes to the in-ring. But no one ever reminds themselves that he had a character. And he was funny. He rivaled The Rock at some point. Because they're stuck in its fucking time portal, man. They're stuck in a whole fucking vortex. Surrounded by only one time period. And that's great. Hey, nostalgia's nice. Nostalgia's nice. And what's even better about it is it just reaffirms how you feel. About everything. Oh, I don't gotta change how I feel? I'm not confronted by new shit? Damn. It's kind of nice. One track mind. Shit. How dare I even ask you to think of more thoughts? I'm the asshole, really. I'm the asshole. It's the game we're in, man. It's the game we're in. I was guilty of it. I make no bones about it. These Star Wars sequels, I can't get jiggy with them. And I don't know if it's because the movies themselves aren't good or I did not find what I wanted out of Star Wars in them. You know? To me, Star Wars was never sci-fi. Star Wars was more of sci-spiritual. Like, it was sci-fi enough to have spaceships and shit, but it was more of a spiritual thing where everything was kind of loose and it only works if you believe it. Which is the opposite of Star Trek, which has like rules and you know what's gonna, not saying you know what's gonna go down, but you can respect the decisions characters make because the rules are so clear. Star Wars, despite what Freddie Prinze will tell you, it's loosey-goosey. And that's why I liked it, because my religion was kind of loosey-goosey. Catholicism was super loosey-goosey. It always gets told that it's this really prudish religion. It's not. People cheat on their wives all the time and then go to fucking confession on Sundays, and it's totally fine. Happened all the time in My Lady of Pompeii. Great times at My Lady of Pompeii. Motherfuckers were holier than thou on Sunday, but on Saturday, they were just fucking doing some wild shit. Dude's fucking his best friend's fiance and shit. Stern religion? Where? Show it to me. But that's Star Wars, though. Star Wars is set in stone until it's not set in stone. Anyone could be a Jedi. That's what we thought. Then we found out about midichlorians, which I didn't mind. Midichlorians made a little bit of sense. There's the difference between me and Michael Jordan. He's probably got more midichlorians. He's more genetically gifted than I am. I can live with that, but I can still be a good ball player by my own account. The Force does not necessarily pick and choose. Just some people are more sick with it. I'm not as sick with the Force as other people are. That's cool. I'll find my own way of giving thanks and giving praise. That's what religion's supposed to be about. People didn't catch that. But of course, after generations of shitting on midichlorians, Last Jedi comes out and goes, hey, fuck all that Jedi text and all that other bullshit. If you got the Force and you believe in it, it's for you. Sweet. It's a Force for everyone. Which is still kind of the original messaging, but you put it in a nicer way. You got rid of the talented part, where some people are talented. Nah, fuck no. It doesn't matter about talent. Just everyone has the Force. And that kind of diluted the Force for me. Even though I wanted John Boyega to have the Force, it kind of wore it down a little bit because he never had to explore it. It never was a central theme to who he was. It's just something that J.J. Abrams said in an interview, and that's it. I didn't want to go back to New Hope, so I didn't really enjoy 7. I didn't want to go into a fuck you George Lucas universe, so I didn't like Last Jedi, and then when I got both of them together, it was even fucking worse. So, realizing I was in a fucking time paradox in my own creation, that I was stuck with the Star Wars I loved, I just said, hey, I'm out. How about I don't fuck with this universe no more? I'll go somewhere else. That's fine. I'll go past this time period and move on to something else. That's really what it is. That's really what it is. I knew what my entry point was. Where's your exit point? We don't just do it with comic books, wrestling, fucking multimedia franchises. We do it with people too. There's an entry point paradox that happens when you meet somebody. And then that person's held to that standard forever unless you travel through time with them. Everyone's traveling through time in different ways. Different ways. Everyone's doing it. The astronauts that go to space, they're traveling time in different ways. Right now, I think, I don't even know the math on it, but like seconds for us are way, like seconds for them are minutes for us, I guess. And that's the way I heard it explained once. But they're experiencing time so differently out there. But still in the same universe, still living in the same way physically. Still both human, still both alive, but we're on two different trajectories, my friend. And sometimes that's how it is. One thing I think that affects relationships and friendships is your idea of who your friend is. Your idea of the potential of the relationship, right? This guy I see a lot of potential in. He's a great dude. I have all these expectations of what this friendship will become. Then that person, not knowing their expectations that they're supposed to be living up to, has expectations for you. So now both of you have created a time period in your mind of what was the golden age of this friendship. And if this continues on this way, then I'm lit. Everything's going to be great. I'm where I belong. Because that's what time travel stories really end up being about. Where you belong. Do you belong in the past or do you belong in the future? Midnight in Paris, one of my favorite movies. It's all about golden ageism. Homie thinks because he's such a good writer in his mind, that he should be hanging out with fucking John Steinbeck and shit, and fucking Fitzgerald, and fucking, god damn it, I was just talking about him the other day, the alcoholic. God damn it. Oh, come to me, I mean, real Hemingway, motherfucker Hemingway. He thinks he should be hanging out with these guys, because in his mind, that's where he projects himself to be. And the only time art was good in his mind was then. I can't write for today. I would kill back then. But you not back then, you today. But he gets the chance to go back in time, hang out with these writers, be amongst common company. And then he finds out he might have a little something, something. Someone from the past reads the book and goes, you know, this ain't bad. You're on your way. But this character needs a little work. Okay, cool, thank you. And he goes back because he gets what he needs out of that time period. I'm not saying you can't go back in time. I'm not saying you can't go back to a past time to not find something you need. But you have to go back forward because there are core values in the past that you can take to today, but reinvent them for today. Because if everyone's singing the same song the same way, it's going to be the same song every time it comes off the radio. No new guitar riffs. You ain't harmonizing on this part. What's up with that? But that's why I think that, like, Midnight in Paris to me is one of my favorites, because he figures out, yo, this is cool and all, but what I'm writing about is me today. And I relate to them in a spiritual level, but I need to bring this out for people in the future. People in my time. Because I got real shit going on. I got real stakes going on over there. Going back to the past, just running away. And I don't even like Woody Allen. Let me point this out. I do not like Woody Allen. Not even just because of the crimes. But really, I think he's overrated. I heard white people talk to me about this dude forever. About how great he is. I find him overrated. Sorry. I think he's pretty decent, but I overrated him. And listen, my entry point paradox for him wasn't great, maybe. Go figure. But everyone talks about, oh, I belong in the past. Do you? As you tweet that from your phone, do you? How are you going to make it through? How is anyone going to know you're so unique if you're not posting about it? Because no one had that back then, so you would just be unique wherever you were. And not many people would notice, actually. They'd ignore you. That's how they treated weirdos back then, as we should now. Bring back shunning. Always pro shunning where I come from. It's Bushwick where I come from. And I don't know if they shun as much as they should. But we do with friendships. You know, you changed. Did they? Or were they always this person? And you held them to a different standard. You had a whole different fantasy in your mind of how this timeline was going. You were experiencing it differently. That maybe you didn't get past the first date in the relationship you're in. Maybe the first date was everything. That's one of my favorite parts of the movie Zodiac. She talks to him about it because the first date Gray Smith and his girl has is he's waiting for Robert Downey Jr.'s character to interview a Zodiac, I guess, insider, suspect, just some more information. And he's worried about his boy because the Zodiac killer said he's going to kill his boy. But the entire first date gets killed because he's waiting for this phone call. And they're at the house. When he gets the phone call, he gives him this news. They got this information, yada, yada, yada. Years pass by. Their marriage is falling apart. Gray Smith's become obsessed with Zodiac. It's all he thinks about. It's all he does his research on. And his girl tells him, maybe we just never got past the first date. It's the first date that never ended. And for a lot of people, it'd be like that. For a lot of people, it's the first few dates that never ended. And you just got stuck with a person because you're like, yeah, but this is familiar. Like, at least I know what this is. Then that person changes and you're like, what happened here? What's going on? What timeline you in? Okay, ain't this one. That's when you start asking people sometimes. Instead of how you doing, yo, what timeline you in, dog? You all right? Cool. Making sure. Just make sure we in the same timeline, dog. That's all. Just let me know how you feel. What you're doing. What aspect are you? Is this like the evil Star Trek version of you with the goatee? Like, or is this like the far future where you have like one arm and an eye patch? Like, let me know where you're at timeline spiritually and we can connect. Happens all the time. I know couples right now that are both talking to me about their relationship. And every time they talk about it, it's in the past tense of what it was, not what it became. Because neither wants to accept the current timeline they are in. And you have to. Listen, man, some people gain weight. Some people start to love different things. Some people start to feel like they missed out on something. And now they're like, damn, I'm in this situation. I don't want to leave, but I got to explore this other thing. Listen, don't be doing that shit if you got a family. That's fucked up shit. Find a way around that. I don't respect when people do it with a family. But if you just in a relationship and you and your girl, you and your guy, y'all just not connecting no more because y'all both on two different timelines, then maybe one's got to leave the timeline and go, yo, I'm going to take my machine and bounce. I'm going to take my machine and bounce. You have to. It's why people, Liam, actually, Noel Gallagher got divorced. He got 2 divorces, but the second one was in his 50s. And he made a fair point. He said, sometimes by 50, you realize, we grew differently. We're not, this ain't working. And that's totally fine. We understood that. It's amicable. It is what it is. Shout out to them for understanding that. Most people don't. And a lot of people, when they live in these entry point paradoxes, they're not asking the real question. And the real question of the entry point paradox is, why can you not go forward into the future? What's wrong with your time machine? What's missing? You ain't got no fuel? You gotta convert your stuff from nuclear to steam? The technology and the time in which you're in doesn't facilitate you how to fix your machine. You better figure something out then. You better start building the tools that fix that machine. Because the only way out of that time paradox is you. And maybe you can't fix that machine. Maybe that machine is beyond fixable. Peep game. Start looking around. Send the beacon out. Maybe someone in another timeline will hear you and pick you up in their time machine and take you forward with them. People don't know if you're in distress if you don't shout out the beacon. Send the beacon out. Why not? You don't gotta get lost in the timeline. Send the beacon out. There's the fucking TVA. I don't really watch MCU stuff now, so I think the TVA works like this. Time Lords, do they ever work like that? I've always heard of them as villains in Doctor Who. I don't really watch Doctor Who. Maybe I should watch Doctor Who. I don't know. Man, if I should start watching more Star Trek, that's where this whole conversation came from. Me and Ray was talking about why are people so stuck in their ways, and he said because of a Star Trek episode, he figured it out. Star Trek Discovery. They were talking about time and time paradoxes, and he put that label on it. And at the time we spoke about it as just with the whole fan aspect, but over the last few days I kept thinking about it. And I was like, dude, this applies to everything. And the last 2 days we just been texting each other about different things we've seen. There's unfinished business for me in a lot of areas, right? I never got to leave the city and pursue my dream of being a filmmaker in the West Coast, right? I, at least in my mind, have to go to the West Coast because a part of me that is stuck in the past needs to at least step foot on that ground to say I at least made it in some way. I made it to walk around here. I put my feet in the Pacific Ocean. I don't think any of my relatives done that shit. I gotta do it because something was taken from me at that time, right? I need to have a certain family because something was taken from me at a time. So I need my future family to eat well and do well because I'm stuck in a time. And I need, that's going to be the fuel to get me out of that time into the future. You see what I mean, Bobby? And that's the shit about it. You know, some of us are stuck in time at work. We're stuck in a paradox. They see you a certain way. They viewed you a certain way. You didn't do this, that, and the other. Because that's what time traveling is all about. Time traveling really is all about decisions. Back to the Future, fucking the time machine, any time machine, anything's all about the decisions you make and how they affect the future, right? So granted, yeah, you could be in the past, but you can affect the future in a drastic way by making certain decisions. And they always come back from the future with new ideas like, oh man, I got to go back and see what I was doing wrong. And now I'm here and I'm going to correct these if I can. But some people don't catch on to this one important part of it. The growth, it's not going to recapture what you lost. It's going to reconstitute it into a new timeline, right? And you're not going to get back lost time because time traveling does not make you younger. When Marty went to the future in part 2, he still aged those days. He was there for a couple of days. Those 2 days happened. The stress in which our astronaut friends went through to go up into space, that aged their body. Marty comes back to 1980 at least a week or two old. Because his body ain't changed. There are no Benjamin Buttons in this shit. No one Benjamin Buttons, all right? That never happens. The only thing we've had close to that is good black don't crack. And something weird's happening where some of the whites are starting to age pretty well too. You got fucking Paul Rudd looking real good. Looking real good. Don't feel right. Don't feel right. Why he looking good? Thought white people age like milk. Apparently not. Apparently not. Maybe he's getting some help. Maybe there's some kind of white supremacy controversy or conspiracy going on in which, let me do it again. Maybe there's some white supremacist conspiracy going on to get guys like Paul Rudd and Tom Cruise to still look good. Anyone seen Brad Pitt's body recently? That's fucking crazy, man. That's gotta be a white supremacist conspiracy because they all know they were aging like milk before. Now they're not. Sus. I'm looking at my white girlfriend a little differently too. Like, is she in a conspiracy? She better start looking old when she's supposed to. Because if she don't, I'm gonna know she's in the conspiracy. No go on white supremacy ageless conspiracy? I ain't fucking with that. That's crazy. Thought that makes little sense, don't it? Whatever. I don't make the rules, dog. I just interpret them. That's all, dog. I don't judge. I just interpret. That's all it is. I see something, I call it out. I don't make the rules for the universe. The universe just gives them to me and I dispense them out to you. And that makes me a good cult leader. Because I know I'm full of shit. See, this entire time I've been talking about the entry point paradox. I've admitted I'm a victim of it and I do it myself. I'm a self-aware cult leader. That makes me one of the good ones. But what you doing to get out of it, dog? What's wrong with your time machine? What's wrong with your time machine? You know, I get it. I get it. Even in politics, I get it, man. People scared of the future. People scared of what America looks like tomorrow. We've done some wild shit. We've torn down the barriers of gender. We've torn down the barriers of sexuality. We've torn down the barriers of technology. That can get very scary for some individuals. But I'm telling you now, your golden age, the era you think you fighting for, whether it's the 50s, whether it's the Reagan 80s, it ain't what you think it is, man. Ain't what you think it is. That was good for that time and those decisions that were made then, which is even questionable in decisions that were made then. But that worked for then. It don't work. That shit don't work now, man. Time changed. Society changed. You gotta change. You gotta hop in that time machine and move forward, dog. Cause ain't no one gonna do it for you. Ain't no one gonna do it for you. People will pick you up on their time machine and they'll take you a little bit far. Take you a little down the road and shit, but they ain't really gonna help you like that. Cause you still gotta do the work. What time I need to go to? I got you. You in the current. Bye. Bye. Enjoy the present, bro. Go take care of your shit. I'm moving on. I got places to be. And that's what it is, man. Ain't nothing wrong with it. Ain't nothing wrong with admitting that you're stuck in an entry point paradox. Ain't nothing wrong. We're all going through it. You know, one of the things about this podcast that I always tell people is that we're not here to judge. We're here to understand. And even when we make fun of some shit, like, and we do make our quote unquote judgments. We're not making judgments. We're making assessments. That's what we're doing. We're interpreting what we're seeing because the universe is a really weird place. You know, and I just want to know why your time machine not working. That's all I want to know. Put it in the comments. Tell me why your time machine ain't working. What's holding you back? I don't know if I'll have advice for it about you've been heard. The beacon was heard, dog. I'll do what I can. But that's the game. That's the game we're in, man. We're all just trying to travel through time in the most graceful way possible. It ain't easy. It ain't easy. I always tell these, Uber fans, like, you gotta get over this shit. Like, your time is done. Move on to other shit. Move on to other shit. You mean to tell me we gotta make the same movies forever? We can't get experimental? We can't fuck around a little bit? You can't respect fucking around? You can't even respect the past. Or you can't respect the present. That's the problem. They respect the past, but don't respect the present the same way. All right. Time is time as far as I'm concerned. Time is time as far as I'm concerned. Because you don't know what you can fuck up with what you're focusing on. The Flash did it. He wanted to save his mom. He saved his mom. Guess what? Caused a Flashpoint universe. Shit was wild. Bruce Wayne's never created. Actually, he dies and his dad becomes Batman and Martha Wayne becomes Joker. That sounds horrible. As for Bruce, that's like probably the worst thing a parent can think of. One parent's Batman, one parent's Joker. But it's a kind of fire story when they make that shit. Are they gonna fucking bitch? I don't think they will. Don't think they will. Kind of have my feelings about Joker too. I think it's at least fun. But that's the thing about it, man. It's entry point paradox. You can't see things beyond where you entered sometimes. CM Punk, my favorite wrestler, is going through it right now. Love him to death. People were saying, oh, he used to be anti-authority and now he's not the same because he doesn't have anything to rally against. Man, y'all ain't know the Second City Saint. Y'all ain't know the Straight Edge Society. Like, this dude in a feud with Raven all about respectability. Like, what are we talking about here? Just because y'all saw him as the anti-authority figure in that time period does not mean that is his level. You know what I mean? That is not his ceiling. The All-American Rejects were talking about this just the other day. They were saying how their fans didn't really grow with them like that. They still want to hear swing, swing, move along, paper heart, all that teen heartbreak shit. But it's like, yo, we're not teens anymore. And we're making better music, we feel. Brandy made some of her best music when motherfuckers weren't listening. Because they wanted old school Brandy. Yo, let me tell you something. Most fans are full of shit. Because they will drop you the second you start experimenting and start learning new shit about yourself and start expressing new ideas and new feelings. They'll drop you because you're in the future for them. They haven't left yet. Large swaths of people haven't left their time period yet. They haven't. That's one thing I always respect about Oasis. Oasis made it clear that they were going to do whatever they wanted to do and you were going to deal with it. And Be Here Now is an album people shit on for being too long and too self-important. I don't give a fuck. I respect it. That's where they were at the time. There's some good tracks on that. There's some good tunes on that shit. I respect it. Cause at least I'm seeing where they're at in time. Maybe I'll get there someday. And I did. Love all those albums, really. I'm a mark. They can do no wrong, really. I'm gonna see them in August and they can go up there and sound like shit and I'm gonna still tell you it's the greatest fucking show ever because I'm stuck in the period where that matters to me. Let me tell you, matter of fact, we didn't really get into it, but the Rage Against the Machine concert for me, when I went back to the Rage Against the Machine concert, right, it took me back to a time where I wasn't just politically aware, I was politically passionate. And it wasn't that I didn't humor. I always try to understand the other side of every argument. But I didn't have boundaries for what I would put up with in terms of respect. Like, what would make me lose respect for somebody? So I was letting people get off some wild shit while not holding them to a level of respect. Like, yo, you need to be a human being with me, dog. Like, this shit ain't cool. Like, what you thinking is dangerous. I can't hang around that. And I think when I went to that concert, and it took me back to a time period where I had those kind of boundaries, and I had to like, you know what? That's very nationalistic of you, and I ain't putting up with that shit. You know what I mean? This is the reality of the situation. Either you want change or you don't want change. And I'm in a position in my life where I want change. I want to see the world change for the better. And you just start to realize, well, you know what? Going back to the past and catching this moment of a band that I loved throughout my childhood, never saw live, but I finally saw them live. Now I can take that forward with me into the future. And this podcast, in large part, is because of moments like that, where you just kind of reset and go, nah, like, this is who I am. I've always been this dude. Like, why am I choosing to not have these conversations or not engage in these conversations? You know? With some people, not all people, because not all people are worth having conversations with, in my opinion. I think the idea of the battleground of ideas is a very cute utopian concept that people who are full of shit have all agreed on because it just substantiates their way to say racist, stupid bullshit. That's really what it is. I think that should do with intellectual ideas, intellectual discovery. It's just, yo, let me get my shit off, all right? We're having a discussion, let me get my shit off. And it's like, you can get your shit off, but there's a reaction to that shit, right? Respectfully. But anyway, not to get derailed. But that's what the Rage Against the Machine concert did for me. And I'm pretty sure I'm going to have the same kind of experience when I see Oasis. That was an important band to me. How I treated life in my 20s was partly inspired by Oasis. Now I find myself listening to the back catalog, the more back end catalog of their songs. I'm like, oh no, this relates to me more now where I'm at. And that's where they were at earlier, and I couldn't really perceive it. Like I liked it, but I didn't know why I liked it. I didn't realize what it was saying to me. There's one song, Gas Panic, that I was not interested in for a long time, but then I was listening to it the other day, and there's a lyric that says, my family don't feel so familiar, and all my enemies know my name. That shit is deep. Like, that shit, like, that's some real lonely shit. But you do feel that sometimes when you're coming up in the world. You do feel that when you look at your side, like, yo, I can't trust this motherfucker, can't trust this motherfucker, can't trust that motherfucker. The fuck am I supposed to do with all this shit? You know, what am I supposed to do with all that feeling? But going back to the past, or at least catching, actually, you know, that's not even going back to that. That's catching up with the timeline. To be fair, I'm catching up with them, but they're still ahead of me. So whatever they drop next is probably going to be over my head too a little bit, because I'm still trying to catch them, but I'm never going to be able to catch them until I'm there. And eventually when their timeline ends and our timelines meet, we'll meet in the end, but it won't be, you know, like, we won't be on the same train all the time. We'll probably be in different cars, but we'll be in different places. But I think that really is the entry point paradox that we exist in. And I think the entire last 4 years, last 5 years have been about the entry point paradox. Wherever you enter politically, wherever you enter relationship wise, wherever you entered fucking fandom, whether it's sports, people just got stuck in a fucking loop, and then everyone's loops are starting to bash against each other. And very few people want to go forward, so they're out the pool of loops. You get what I mean? Like, they're projecting themselves away from the past. So, yeah, and that's the thing. Like, you see all these people, like, they call them futurists and shit because they're so ahead of the game. And it's why they always seem crazy at first. Some of them are. But a lot of them always seem crazy at first because they're so far ahead of you that you haven't perceived their idea of time yet. That's nuts, man. But that's why a lot of fans gotta start looking at themselves, or a lot of people gotta look at themselves in the mirror and going, yo, like, why am I not fucking with shit? Why am I not allowing myself to fuck with shit? What am I holding on to? What is a time period in my life that I feel like I deserve, and I deserve to have those feelings again, and why haven't I had them recently? Why is it not my present? And how can I make it my future? This is, once again, I said it's going to be a very cliche episode, but it's the truth. A lot of us are stuck in time periods with broken down time machines, just trying to figure out how to fix it, bruh. Trying to figure out how to fix it. And some of us choose not to leave, too. Listen, some of us choose not to leave. And if you choose not to leave, just be honest about it. That's the way I look at it. Just be honest about it. I'd rather you say, yo, I'm stuck in the past, I'm going to stay here. Cool. I'm just going to go in the future now, dog. I'm going to hop in this machine real quick. You can come. No? All right. Bye. Because my life can't stop. Can't. Doc Brown made that choice, man. Doc Brown looked at that woman in Back to the Future 3. What was her name? Claudette? I don't know. Someone with a C. But he was in love with that woman. And he said, you know what? Fucking Marty, you go to the future. I'm staying behind, man. I love this woman. I'll figure something out. I'll start a new life here. And he did. And then he figured out, you know, how to get back to the future with his girl, with his kids. Had a whole family going, yo, we're going to travel time. We're going to enjoy this shit together. We're going to live it. We're just going to live it. And we are all moving through time, dog. We are all moving through time. And you gotta figure that out. You got two politicians talking about what time periods they want to go back to. Or, matter of fact, no. You got the future versus the past. Really? Donnie wants to go back. Kamala wants to go into the unknown. Now, are either one of them qualified for the fucking destination of their time machines? I don't know. Don't know if they built the right machines. But one of them's got a pilot. And we're going to have to pick one eventually. But those people are still fighting over something, man. Those people they're fighting in a time period they can't get out of. And I keep saying it because it's just true. It's just true. And that's why, like, this whole Joker 2 debate thing, I saw so many critiques about what they wanted something to be and what it should have been. And I saw people going, this should have never been made. Well, like, guess what? I can't have film discussions like that. It shouldn't have been made is not in my vocabulary when it comes to film. It's made. Deal with it. Now we're watching it. Now we're debating it. Now we're talking about it because it exists. It's real art. It exists. You can touch it. You can touch celluloid at least. That's what it is, man. And that's the thoughts of this week, man. That's thoughts. We have got to figure out why we ain't going forward. I figured out what mine was. It was fear, man. Just straight fear. Fear was fucking up my time machine. Fucking up my time machine. Now I'm writing more than I used to, podcasting, you know. Listen, I'm not saying I'm a perfect fucking example, but I at least got the time machine out the mud. I at least cleaned it off. What my future looks like, I do not know. I know what I hope it looks like, but I do not know what my future looks like, but I know I'm moving forward. And that's really what it is. You cannot like your present. You cannot like the things you are given, but you will have to move beyond them or you will get stuck in your paradox. Or sometimes you will be triggered by things that will keep you in your paradox, in your never-ending loop. And the only one that's going to get you out is you. Because you're the pilot at the end of the day. So make a decision. You want to fix this yourself, or do you want to sound a homing beacon and hope someone finds you? Those are your two choices. I should write a book. We are writing a book, actually. I keep forgetting we're working on that. Maybe we do it as a Substack instead. I don't know. Ideas are flowing here. Ideas are flowing here. Anything to add, Bobby? Don't even bother. Do not even bother. Not interested. Okay, I think we both know, Bob, how this one is going to end. Hopefully in the future.